I was 9 weeks pregnant when I found out that I was having twins. I went to my OBGYN's office. He did an ultrasound. He was shocked. I was shocked. I immediately started crying. How am I supposed to carry twins? At that same appointment, he was able to notice that there was only one sac and the babies were so close together. He looked at me and said, it's almost like they could be conjoined. He confirms that yes, they're conjoined, and it is at the abdomen, and they're sharing liver. It looks like intestines and maybe some other diaphragm. He asks us if we want to continue with this pregnancy or do we wish to terminate. My husband and I both look at each other and we both agree we're going to continue with this pregnancy. He said, it looks like it's the abdomen and it looks like they have separate hearts. We knew our chances were high. And it was so wonderful that he referred me to Texas Children's, and they got me in extremely fast. At 19 weeks, I had my very first MRI there. We talked about a game plan after the results came. Our chances looked pretty great at separating the girls because they weren't sharing any major organs other than their liver, intestines, and their diaphragm. And we were told the girls would have to stay in the NICU at the hospital the entire time, and that they could possibly be conjoined for 6 to 7 months. I was able to carry them to 35 weeks and no complications. I was never sick other than just carrying twins. I was just tired. Chances of them surviving and them being separated were pretty high, so all we could do was just be optimistic about that. The most difficult part of this journey was leaving my toddler that at the time was only 2 back at home while I relocated to Houston to be close to the hospital. Once the girls made their arrival safely, the waiting period begins. They remained conjoined for 3 solid months before they could be separated. We were told that the surgery would be a 16-hour surgery. Most conjoined twins have to have like tissue expanders where they go in and just kind of inflate and then just kind of expand their skin. Thankfully, we did not have to have tissue expanders, which was a huge answered prayer. On June 14th, 2023, Ella and Eliza were separated, and we were quoted a 16-hour surgery, and it ended up being a 6-hour surgery if we were going to require a binder until separation day. So if they went in and they noticed they didn't have enough tissue or skin, then they would add a binder, and then later we would have to have a second surgery. Thankfully, that didn't happen. We had plenty of skin and all the things to just separate and close them up. It was a success, and it was a lot quicker than we all anticipated. And the very next day, we were able to hold both babies. And that was surreal. That was the moment where I felt like, we made it. We made it to the finish line, and here are both of my babies on their back, and they're happy. I can assure you that it was the hardest thing that I have ever done in my entire life. To be separated from my 2-year-old for a month and then have to go back and forth to see my twins in the NICU and then see my toddler back at home and leave every time, it was heart-wrenching. The girls had a 1-month recovery in the NICU, and then on July 11th of 2023, we brought them home. And since then, we have been a family of 5, and life has been chaotic, but in a good way. And I'm just thankful. I'm so thankful that I get to live this life and have these babies by my side.
I'm so glad that she's had a really positive experience out of all of this. I think, being told at 9 weeks you got twins, it's like, oh my God, can my body carry it? Is there going to be complications? So carrying one baby alone is already hard, so doing that twice is going to be even more difficult. And I'm glad they stuck to their guns and they're like, yeah, I'm going to have twins. And then to be told a few scans later, like, oh, there's only one sac, and I can see 2 heartbeats, but I think they're conjoined. I think at that moment you're like, God, you will think awful things, but that's normal, that's human. And the fact they stuck to their guns and they're like, yeah, we're gonna have our babies, we're gonna style it out, ride it out, just do what we need to do, focus on our children. And they did it, and I just can't believe that they managed to have a successful 16-hour surgery that did end up being 6 hours, which is incredible. Like, that's insane. To be separated, and they look the most happiest, beautiful children, just laughing, running around, just being toddlers. That's literally what we're seeing. They're just being cute, and she seems happy. You can see the spark in her eye. And her telling that story would have been a lot of PTSD. You know, she had to relocate to Houston, Texas. She had to leave her little 2-year-old behind and move on her own, like, just to be close to her babies. And some people will look at that and be like, oh my God, you're such an awful mum for leaving your 2-year-old behind. But she had to do it. And at the end of the day, mums have to take risks. And she did the right thing. But it's so nice to see that she had a successful way of doing that. Like, it looked incredible. It was just amazing. I'm really happy for her. I'm glad it turned out to be a positive experience, and those twins didn't need that much surgery or second surgery. Enough skin for a graft. And I'd like to know what happened with, like, the liver, like, what's that going to encounter, but it's nice to see it as a positive outcome for them all as a family.